Hey, good evening. It's 6:06 p.m. It is January 20th, Monday evening, and I decided to come on here and make a video really quick because, you know, every once in a while you just start getting things filled up in your head and you feel like you want to release it. Maybe don't want to talk about everything that's going on in your head, but sometimes just like verbalizing and talking and just talking in general sometimes helps people, like release things that are going on in their mind. So, I haven't really made a video, I think like in a week or so. And so I just wanted to kind of make an update. I would say things are going okay, I still deal with like those mental lapses to where like, your mind starts caving in on itself, thinking about some other things that you'd rather not think about, such as, the whole issue of being set up with a fake family and all those other disturbing things. Okay. I really do find that kind of really disturbing. That's the one thing, the main thing I would say that really bugs me. Okay. And I think the other part of it is the fact that that part is extremely tragic. And then I was dealing with bullying on top of it. It's like, okay, well, it just seems cruel. The whole thing just seemed really cruel to me. And so, you start wondering, like, what in the world would people do? I mean, I understand the whole mind control thing of it, but it is still a very disturbing thing to go through, right? So, I have been thinking about mental techniques, and discuss some of them about keeping your mind active. People who have dealt with trauma, people who feel like they're in a period where, they feel like they don't really want to reflect on the past and the only thing they really need to do is live in the present. And that's what I'm trying to do. And so that's one of the reasons why I talk about mind stimulating your mind, continually like relying upon creativity to drag you out of those, negative moods. Okay. And they can happen at any time. There are times where, especially I find that they tend to crop up when I'm doing something repetitive. Okay. So, like, some people have the ability to, like listen to music at work or something to pick up their mood and switch their mood. Now, there are some people who aren't allowed to listen to music at work, so they might try something else. Okay. At home, like if I feel like I need to shift the energy a little bit, what I usually do is I either light a scented candle, some incense or something to smell something different could change your mood, So I work on these techniques a lot because I deal with a lot of mental collapses, okay? But, it is what it is, okay? So, I've been working on my projects this weekend, and I couldn't wait till the weekend started because I really wanted to get, into my little projects. And I've talked about the autodidacts, which I've been compiling information for quite a long time, and now I'm finally putting it into one big thing, and I had talked about these additional videos that I'm making and wanting to submit them to, I believe, the state of California and possibly other places, mainly because I feel as though people should be educated holistically. Like it should reflect not just getting a good grade in the class, but it should filter into their lives so that they can have a better way of making decisions. And not this is not in any way rebellious. And I know this. I think this is what bothers me the most. Okay, is that I had I was painted out as like a rebellious person when I really didn't even have a chance to explain myself. And I'm not trying to bring up old issues, but no, it's not rebellion that made it so that I didn't become associated with Christian church. I know that given a lot of opportunities. I've tried it, studied many years with Jehovah's Witnesses. I went to different churches and everything. So I never realized that people held that against me so deeply. And really, when I think about what happened over at Murray Family Farms, I understand that this is like, I understand, but I'm trying to figure out, like, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, it's the fact that, I never realized that what I did personally was so you being used against me. You know what I mean? In that way. So anyway, I had, been talking a lot about CB Berganza because, like he's like my favorite character of all the people that I could be. Now, some people think, well, gosh, aren't you like really blown away by Solomon? I am, of course. You know what I mean? I had my suspicions about a year ago when I found that I was CB Berganza, and I found out that I was related to King Solomon. And I kept thinking, well, I do have the ability to think quickly, to process solutions. And I kept thinking, okay, well, maybe that went through my bloodline. Okay, I do understand now I never had a bloodline. I was just been continually cloned from, a spirit being. Okay, that came to Earth, or okay, whatever. I don't have any human origins, meaning I am human, like on paper, okay, but like legal papers and stuff like that. I think everybody is, but I am an alien, basically. Okay, so you know, aliens slash angels, whatever, otherworldly beings, and so I guess this does explain who I am. You know what I mean? And I have to say, I'm very content with who I am. And that's not arrogance, okay? Because I know I have flaws. I have a shitload of flaws, okay? But I'm content with the decisions that I have made in my life, okay? I do believe that I have made good decisions in my life, even though there's things that I've made mistakes in my life, okay? But I do believe that I have resolved my issues, or made attempts to resolve my issues in the best way that I possibly can, based on things that I used to do when I was a kid. Okay, like I used to do some crazy stuff, goofy stuff, right, when I was a kid. And then once you learn, you just make sure that you don't fall back into those patterns. No. Anyway, so yeah, I'm looking at this shirt that I wore. This is the first time I wore the shirt. I purchased this shirt like 2 years ago, right? And yeah, it is kind of funky. It's like black and white and everything. But today was Monday, and I kept thinking, I sometimes I use a color app, right? Just get your lucky color. And there's days where I'm just not so gung ho about the color for the particular day. Like, today the little recommendation was like yellow. You wear yellow today, and I'm somebody who's very sensitive to color. But to me, I was like, no, I mean, I'm torn between black and white. And I remember this shirt, and I grabbed it. Okay, now clothes for me are a way of expressing myself. And I was actually kind of surprised to see some of the ads that have been floating through on certain social media sites. Like, I've been on Facebook this weekend, and I was also on Instagram this weekend. Just kind of like, thumbing through and taking breaks from what I was doing. I was working on my projects, and then I kept thinking, okay, I'm going to go ahead and see what's going on social media, right? I can't hide from the world forever. So I kind of peeped in. On Instagram, there were some commercials that were running, right? And they were talking a lot about these issues that I experienced, okay? I was very glad to see that Indeed.com had run an ad about, in this particular commercial, okay? It's about this guy, a black dude, right? And he works in finance, and it shows him wearing more of a shirt that is more colorful, that might look rather artistic. And I know throughout the course of me working in accounting for many, many, many years, that people thought I was a little funky for the office, okay? And that comes a lot with my race, they identify me with my race, but also my clothes. I think I do like clothes that are very bold in print. I'm not a PTA mom, but I would honestly say that, I do support people who have children, who have, what they call conservative lives, okay? But, like, when I really think about the history of how I came to be, and everything that's happened to me, this is the reason why I've been on this road all my life. This is the reasons why it has put me in a position where I can see things from a different angle. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I talked about adapting to my environment, adapting to my situation throughout all the course of my life. As CB Berganza, whoever I was before that, Tut's wife, blah, 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 all the way down the line, okay? Helicopter, what do you know, what do you know? Anyway, so, anyway, this is who I am. And, I'm glad that people are understanding that I'm writing doing a project on the workplace, okay? And I'm talking about the importance on a psychological level of the damage that gets caused to a person who is constantly living outside of themselves all the time. Now, I know the workplace is a place that we spend 8 hours, sometimes even more, depending on how long we're there. Okay, and sometimes, like, I know they did the uniform thing on me, okay? We don't even go there, but that's a good example, okay? Feeling outside of yourself. feeling like, okay, these are the things I like, but I'm constantly being distanced from them. And I had talked about, people being fitted in the right industries and stuff like that. Okay. Now, the job that I'm working now, I'm very happy there. Okay. I come in, I feel like I can do my little work. I'm comfortable. Now, one way that shows that I'm comfortable when I work in a workplace is for me to bring my things in. Okay. Like when I was younger, and this is not in any way a black thing. It is not something that I'm creating. Okay. It's just the little items that I bring in are specific to my personality. But people have historically always brought in pictures of their families. They've brought in bobbleheads. They've hung up little pieces of art. I know when I was working over at BT Trucking, the lady that I was sharing an office with, Jerry, we talked about, her bringing her clock in, so to make it a little bit more, roomy or homey or whatever. This is what people have done historically. Okay. I'm just somebody who I do see the benefit in creating a space for yourself that you feel comfortable in. Now, one of the indications of me hating my job, resenting me being there, is if I feel like bullshit's going on, I won't even leave my jacket overnight. Sometimes like people work on, they do their work and they know they're coming back the next day and they keep a jacket there or a coat or something. I won't leave anything there. Okay. I will not leave anything. I will literally go to work every day and leave that space exactly the way it was when I got there. Because you know why? I want no association from it. I'm distancing myself already. I am literally showing up to the job to get it done and get the hell out of there. And no, I do not want to bring in any of your like coffee mugs from the company or anything like that. I want to distance myself from every memory, every single sensation that I could feel from the negativity. Okay, so therefore I don't bring my things in. So I'm happy where I'm at right now. Okay, I'm comfortable. All right. Um, Now I did want to talk a lot about, because I got the intuitive message that I'm encouraging or influencing a lot of people getting like desk ornaments. Okay. Now I do think that there should be limits on how many things you have, because it is the company property, and I will be talking more about that in one of my videos. Okay. Because it's up to them, really. I mean, it's their property. Okay. But I do think it's important that when you work for a company, the biggest problem that a lot of companies make is that they forget that we are here, or we're doing our job to support our lives. That's what they forget. You know what I mean? And I remember like we were in this meeting and we were talking about getting the best people to work, for this particular company. I'm not going to talk about who it was. And they were like brainstorming. And this is what I was thinking. I was thinking this, but I didn't say it. Okay. The fact is that there has to be some sort of balance. Okay. And in that balance, the balance is that people can feel enslaved to their jobs when they feel so completely distanced from themselves. There's a girl on Instagram, I do not remember her name. Her thread comes on my thing every once in a while, okay? And I will say that this issue, especially the racial issue of it, okay? Okay, I don't want to hate white people. I don't. I don't want to hate white people. All my life, I've accepted white people. I've listened to their music. I've done everything. But because I understand the racial issue that came on, it's like, okay, I'm seeing this lady and I'm like, okay, in the past, I have always supported white people. Okay. And I would think nothing of supporting and looking at her channel and following her. Okay. But see, I know that I was criticized a lot when I was younger for liking white music. Okay. It had nothing to do with that. It's just music is music. And see, I appreciate her, and I've been thinking, okay, what if I subscribe to her channel? That does not mean, just because I'm subscribing to her channel does not mean that I am goth myself, or I may want to be goth or anything like that. What I'm saying is there are certain things that are so embedded in us. Okay, like in this situation, this girl is a goth. Okay, she's goth. All right. She's a goth girl, which means that she likes goth things. Okay, she's attracted to things that look, a little different. Maybe kind of, she looks kind of 80s, okay? It's what she reminds me of. All right. But this is who she is. And it's a deeply embedded personality thing, okay? I'm pretty sure, especially if she goes to work. I haven't watched all her videos, but the thing is that, I remember throughout my work history, the run-of-the-mill people in the office were housewives, blah, 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 blah. And there's people who are like me, who have these deep embedded traits inside them that I'm now coming to understand why. And when I think about reincarnation, reincarnation, people coming back, stuff like that. It's like you have no idea how deep it is to, or how important it is for, if this is who you are on the inside, that this is what should reflect on the outside. You know what I mean? I think one of the biggest disappointments about people going into their work life. I remember having lunch with she was probably a perp, okay, whatever. She was a Hispanic lady. We were talking about how, how did you think things were? Like when you were younger, how did you see yourself, working? Because work life has always been interesting. So her answer was, oh, she visualized herself. She said she was going to be this way, this way, this way, and she was going to dress this way. And she even described how she was going to look and how she was going to feel. But this is not how she turned out, right? And the reason why she turns out is because people get, wrapped up in the gamut of everyday life and everything. But the sad part is that work life, the way things were in the work life history before this advertisement from Indeed.com became okay. Um, it was very difficult. It's been very difficult for people to feel fulfilled in life. You see what I'm saying? Because what they're doing is, many people visualize, and this is the disappointment, they visualize their view, their uh, idea of what success is, and then now they reduce themselves to something that they don't recognize. Do you see what I'm saying? So why it's important for people to find the right job, the right fit for who they are without compromising who they are. Okay, there are certain things that you can't do. Okay, like for example, I can't, like there's times where I walk around in my sock slippers. Okay, I know I can't do that at work. Okay, there's safety regulations and stuff like that. You have to have toed shoes or whatever. Although I've never read that at the particular place that I'm at right now. Okay, but there's certain things I know you can't do just about anything. Okay, but so a lot of things that I was picked on are things that a lot of other people do. Like I know when I was working at a KERO, the lady, my manager, she had brought her candles in, and I thought, hey, that's cool. Now, who's to say, like I said, that could have been a trigger, because CB Braganza, it seems like CB Braganza does that kind of stuff all the time. And they could have been doing that to see, like, hey, I'm doing this. Is she going to catch on or something? But I would say candles are a wonderful way of switching the mood if you can. Now, I know some companies might feel uncomfortable with anybody having something like that could cause a fire. That is something that people would be very concerned about, and I fully understand that. I will say that they do have like those little LED lights if your employer has a problem with it. Okay. And, I do think that um, keeping your mind happy, keeping your mind entertained, keeping your mind active, okay, with especially when you're doing repetitive tasks, is important, because a lot of people have dealt with long-term trauma. Not just me, okay? I'm talking about a lot of people. And there's so many different reasons why people ended up in a traumatized state, or depressed state, or a stagnant state, especially when you get older. Like I said, the feeling that people don't have anything to live for after you get to a certain age, and I'm not kidding you, okay? I mean, you just start thinking, oh man, and you can't feel that way. You know what I mean? It's dangerous to feel that way. You got to keep chugging along, and you got to keep your mind active. What else did I want to talk about? Um, oh, let's see. Oh, okay. I got the intuitive message a couple of nights ago that people got a chance to look at the past life 22 major arcana update to my yeah, it was an update that I had did on my tarot manual, and I put it in the Swan Song Manifesto first quarter newsletter, which I think is really cool. I think it's cool to find out things that go relate to your past life, and I'm still digging. Okay, but like I said, there's times where it just gets like, okay, I'm a little burnt out on the CB brigade. I mean, it's cool to know, especially me finding out that I had a connection to Lancaster. Because I'm going to tell you what, I've always loved Lancaster. And it's not as like a great town. It doesn't have any like historical, well, like major historical landmarks. It's got the cute little Western hotel and everything. But it's just something about the way it vibrates, you know what I mean? Especially like at night, at dawn. Yeah, I'm really that weird. And I'm just, that's how I am. You know what I mean? And if I am weird, that's how I was made. You know what I mean? And I'm somebody who feels energies, and I've always liked the energy of Lancaster. But I'm glad that people like the past life readings. I did want to talk a little bit more about my feelings on, the King Solomon versus Jesus thing. I know that I was kind of set up in all of this, as being a clone and everything. And, you know, I believe that some people believe that I'm some like the savior or something, and it's kind of funny, right? But the thing is that I do believe that I have the intellectual abilities to do and help society in an indirect way. Okay. And I do think that what I saw on Indeed.com was very positive. And do I think that it had something to do with my case? I do think so. I do think so. And I also saw a bunch of other on Instagram. I also saw some advertisements for a lot of lawyers, employment lawyers, okay, who are talking about a lot of the things that I went through. Went before was just like, oh, okay, I think it's important that people understand, this issue of human trafficking, targeted individuals, workplace mobbing, bullying, and stuff like that. Now, I know that my situation was a little bit different and it involved celebrities and stuff like that, okay? But this issue can be used for people who are dealing with domestic abuse, domestic violence, women being harassed in the workplace, women being misunderstood. You know what I mean? I want to talk a little bit more about, women, girly women, and I think a lot of women get to a certain age and they feel like, pressured by a lot of older women to give up the things that are keeping them alive. You see what I'm saying? And I think I touched briefly on that in the newsletter, okay? Speaking of, by the way, this wig that I'm wearing right now, I'm going to be taking it off shortly. It's holding up really good, almost to the point of where I'm like, okay, I'm waiting for this wig to get like really frayed and frazzed to where it looks like it's more like this wig is like, okay, I washed it already. And it seems as though the fibers are made to where they snap right back into the curls. Okay, this is a different fiber wig, and I'm like, okay, I'm really waiting for it to be worn out a little bit more because once it starts wearing out, that's when it starts matching my hair with all the little shaggy pieces and stuff like that. Okay, so it's gonna take a while for this to like really really match, but I'm content with it right now. But anyway, going back to the whole Jesus thing, I'm sorry. I was looking at myself in the mirror with this reflection, and then I thought I saw it in my hair, and then I started talking about something else. Anyway, back to Jesus. I don't consider myself in competition with Jesus. I do believe that we were both historical figures. I do believe that I know that churches are teaching a lot of my lessons in their, and I am nowhere trying to overstep Jesus or anything like that. I respect people's religious beliefs, and I understand, that Jesus has some sort of importance to a lot of people. Okay, so, like I said, I'm sorry that this whole thing ever happened, you know what I mean? But now that it has, it should open the eyes to people, especially when it comes to the Nazi connection. It's like, okay, wait a second. And that in no way necessarily means that Jesus has anything to do with this part of it. You know what I mean? I'm just saying is that, people have used religion to do a lot of different things, like, for things that are selfish or promote a certain agenda or whatever. Okay, that is in no way me saying, okay, well, you know what, this don't deal with Jesus or like leave Jesus. If this is who you've been praying to and this is who you're feeling comfortable with, you continue doing that. Okay, I'm just saying as the whole Nazi thing was just like, okay, whatever. Anyway, so I'm not trying to like blame people who believe in Jesus in general. I'm just saying is like people can use things for their own selfish gain. So anyway, so that's how I feel about that whole issue. And what else did I want to say? Oh yeah, okay, yeah. The mind collapses that I deal with have a lot to do with long-term abuse. Okay, it's not that I have internalized it. It's not that I feel bad about myself. It's just that I don't really know what to expect from people. You know what I mean? So it's like, because I know for many years I've dealt with, everybody wants to hang out with Maria. Okay, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, there's a lot of mind manipulation, and most of it had to do with trying to manipulate my habits, modify my habits, and I need people to understand there's nothing wrong with my habits. I'm right on target as to who I am. You know what I mean? And I think it's a lot that people don't understand that. Like, if you really think about it, I talked about me being Maria Gordon, but I'm basically just CB Braganza picking up from where I left off. Okay. Having no family, no understanding that I was in a a situation where, people were influenced negatively about me. You know what I mean? This means that I'm somebody who has to step out in the world all by themselves. And, why would I put myself in a situation where I would be stuck with a perp or something like that? The desire for that sort of relationship really isn't in me anyway. So, I feel like people were judging me, and I don't know. It's like it's good for me to let people know what life is like on my side. You know what I mean? It's like this is how it's been forever for me. You know what I mean? And people never really stop to think, okay, well, what's really going on with her? Like, if you think about it, how could I defend myself when I had no idea that was, it just seemed kind of weird. But anyway, yeah, I deal with a lot of mind collapses and dealing with, when I interact with other people, like, well, are they going to start some bullshit somewhere down the road? Are they going to do this? Are they going to sit here and try to modify my habits or something? It's like, no, this is who I am. It is who I am. You know what I mean? You know, like I said, I think this is the biggest issue with a lot of employers, not understanding this. You know what I mean? It's like, it's like, well, way you live to support your family, or you live to support yourself, or you live to whatever support your life, okay? And the company sometimes companies ask entirely too much of their employees. They work too much. They might, the family that they've dreamed of having, they never get to see them. And now on top of everything else, you're shelling out who they are. And, I think you get the picture, okay? And I know for a long time people used to pick on me for everything, and now it should make sense why I am the way that I am. Like, I understand now that, a lot of the things that I did were not inherited. Obviously, I'm not my blood, my mother's Mary Gordon's daughter. You know what I mean? So this explains one of the reasons why I was so different, and I had different tastes than my siblings that I grew up with. You know what I mean? And what people made fun of, it's like, well, this is who I am. The things that I like are a reflection of who I am and who I've always been. You know what I mean? And same thing with the girl, or the girl who's into the goth thing, or whoever, or whatever. And then my interest in subscribing to her had nothing to do with me being wanting to be goth or anything like that. It's just I'm interested in seeing how someone like that goes to work, because I've often wondered, when people have different personalities, how do they do it? Like, how are they surviving? You know what I mean? So when I brought up the issue of her race, it's like, well, I was criticized for liking white music. Am I going to be criticized for subscribing to her stuff? It's like I never thought of not liking white people or liking their creations or whatever, or following their life journey just because they're white. There was something reason I've obviously had an interest in something that they were doing, that made me interested in them. You know what I mean? And I don't see things from that way. And a lot of the reason why I don't have racial biases is because of me being who I am as CB Brigance, because I do believe that I pretty much fought and lived and had to fight my own battles and stand up for myself a lot of times. So I probably dealt with betrayal from all kinds of people. So I don't deal with that. To me, it's like, okay, well, people have people have it in them to betray each other, especially when we're living in the hell realm. Okay, but I will say the whole issue with the Nazi thing and all of that stuff, that is really deep. Okay, I mean, that is very, very deep, and it does make me think, okay, well, but that doesn't change the way that I feel about my music or anything like that. But it's like, I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. Yeah. By the way, I probably will follow her because I am interested in seeing that. Just like, what's that like, But anyway, um, I'm sorry that people had to like make such a big light out of that. You know what I mean? And to me, I never saw anything wrong with that. And I still don't see anything wrong with it. It's just, I think I've always been more advanced than other people. You know what I mean? So anyway, talking about the lunchbox thing, yeah, I enjoy my lunchbox. And I think that was something that people wanted to bully me out of. And the thing is, it's like, I knew that I was dealing with a lot of like psychopaths, right? And the thing is that they just hated me, period. Okay, because when you think about they don't want you to bring a lunchbox, right? They don't want you to bring a lunchbox, but they hate your guts, and they would be really infuriated if you paid for the average lunch every day, right? And the average lunch every day, by the way, it's more than $5. Back in the day, you can get like pretty good food, fast food, for $5. Okay, now it's like $15 and up. Okay, so they would bitch if I would get my lunch every day, right? And then they'd bitch if I had a lunchbox. So really, if you think about it, they just fucking hated me in the first place, like deep down hated me. So, some of the things you think about them like picking on me for, it's just like, dang, it's kind of silly. Really, it is. It's silly, but it's kind of funny. But at the same time, it's like, man, okay, can you really like let up on the hate, really? Anyway, I am going to wrap this video up. I am really tired. I do feel a lot better just talking, kind of giving an update, releasing, what's going on in my mind and my thoughts. And I'm glad that things are shifting. Things are being positive, and I've never been a political person. Like I said, I've always just kind of wanted to lay low, just kind of lay low. And I understood that, the way that I saw things was not the majority of thought. You know what I mean? And I always knew that I was just somebody who went to work, came home, tried to stay out of trouble. I never really had much trouble. I was always kind of a nerd, but, I never realized that I would be like so highlighted and spotted on and having to deal with like, the gang stalking, the celebrity thing, the whole mind control, I didn't know I was CB Brigands. I mean, just one of those things. But I never considered myself a political person. You know what I mean? I've never followed like the political, like, elections and stuff like that, or got involved in public issues. And I know it's funny because people always wanted to beat my politics out of me, right? Obviously, I do have the skills to guide and contribute to society. You know what I mean? I think this is one of the reasons why I am creating autodidacts, because I do the autodidact series that I'm talking about, because I do think that people should get a better form of education. I think that people should have a better way of living. Meaning, like, I'm not saying telling people how to live. I'm saying they should make these individual choices themselves, but they should make informed decisions. And then they should also incorporate these sort of life skills in their life so they don't feel so surprised. Like, most people were surprised, I'm sure, to find out that what was going on with me was actually an illegal thing. Like, it was shocking. Like, oh, wow, this is a scandal? I mean, I'm making light of it now, okay? But it is. Okay, it's a scandal, right? But because society is what it is, because it doesn't have any sense of morality, it was normal to them. These sort of like, ganging up on people and all this sort of, it's very normal to people. Okay, and this is what I'm saying. Make better decisions so that you make sure you don't tarnish your name, make sure you blah, 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 blah. And this is what I'm talking about in these upcoming projects that I'm working on. So anyway, I think I'm going to wrap this one up. Oh yeah, I did talk about the employment law thingy. I did talk about I think the term that they use is dull your shine, like for the Indeed.com thing. I think going back to the Hispanic lady that I had lunch with, she basically said that she wanted to be able to wear nice clothes to work and feel good about herself. Okay. And this is when most people visualize themselves as being successful. People visualize, they have a picture in their head. A lot of people have a picture in their head as to what success looks like, but they are not feeling that way because they're in an environment that shuts it down. And their environment is already asking too much of them in the first place, especially when you're dealing with a lot of the disappointments of them not being able to understand what people need in the first place. So anyway, more of that in my upcoming projects. I'm going to wrap this one up, and I hope you all have a good night. Take care. Bye-bye.